Welcome back to the coverage of Paprika's Open 9 Mythic Championship qualifier to Mythic Championship Barcelona. 133 players started this tournament. Some of them have already lost their chance to get to the top 8, but some of them are 5-0. And with 8 rounds of Swiss and 133 players, 5-0 puts you pretty darn close to being where you want, so in the top 8.
We're going to probably follow those players, some of those players, trying to battle out. At 6-0 you probably are close. I'm not very sure how the math breaks down, but maybe you are able to ID twice. I was never good at tiebreakers math. I was just preferring to play my matches of Magic the Gathering.
Alright, so we've got Krzysztof Marek on the right. And I don't know the gentleman on the left. Paprikats. Paprikarn. Pizza with paprikash wouldn't be a good idea. So shortly we should know what these both players are playing. You got a compliment.
It's from Kachi 95, which makes it of a dubious quality.
I know.
As in, I guess not what I wanted to say, not dubious quality, but shady sauce.
Alright, Jakub Jaworski is the opponent for Krzysztof Marek. I don't know what Krzysztof is playing, do you know?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. So we are going to get that information pretty soon. We're going to get the deck lists. I wonder if these players are 5-0. I would love to see the standings after the 5th round. Okay. So Jakub Jaworski is playing Esper Control with Absorbs, with Dovin's Veto, with Search for Ascanta.
Multiple Nashed partner of Veils.
Double
Teferis.
triple Teferi. Liliana Dreadhorde General. And sideboard, yeah, just pretty much more controlling stuff.
Krzysztof Marek is playing a Command D Dreadhorde 4-color Planeswalker deck.
So this will be pretty interesting to see how this matchup goes.
Absorb is typically a card that's very good against 6-mana sorceries. It's less good against 6-mana sorceries, but they are consistently being backed up by
Teferi Time Traveler.
Yes, by Teferi Time Traveler. Another problem is the fact that you basically need to be answering all of the planeswalkers over and over, and it's pretty hard to do. Like a lot of the control tools that Esper Control decks play nowadays are, I mean not nowadays, but in general, is creature removal. Jakub himself has, 1 Moment of Craving, 2 Oath of Kaya, 3 Mortify, 2 Cryo Carnarium, 3 Kyle Shaft main deck, 1 Castdown on top of that. So if you add all of those up, that's a large portion of cards that does not deal with planeswalkers. I guess Oath of Kaya actually can interact with them, but it's not trivial to do that.
So Cryo Carnarium gets discarded with the Thought Erasure.
It's not Cryo Carnarium.
Sorry,
it is
Command the Dreadhorde.
Command the Dreadhorde. Krzysztof Marek missing his land number 3. He gets to draw a land now. It's very strong for him.
Now he's able to cast Teferi and basically disregard counter spells for quite some time.
Yeah. We see an Absorb in Jakub's hand.
Card's being blanked right now, so Jakub will go down to 17.
It's very possible that Krzysztof actually expects the archetype that he's facing, given that he immediately cycled his Teferi. It's if you think that you're playing against a control deck, you definitely want to cycle ASAP because you would rather cycle first and then to not run head first into Narset or any removal spells that can kill off this Teferi. Against mid-range strategies, you want to plus it so you can bounce the Thief of Sanity.
Alright, so the Wildgrowth Walker knocked down Narset to 2. Teferi is at 2 loyalty, so he can be defeated by Oath of Kaya that Jakub has picked up from Narset last turn. But I don't think that's a... Well, he does.
It is a reasonable move, of course, but like it's still a bleeding card advantage. Reason is that this Teferi drew a card, you spend a card dealing with that. So like
there's another Teferi just waiting.
Yeah, you're down a card already, and probably another Planeswalker will follow, and there's going to be more of those. So. Where it's going to become interesting, truly, I believe, it is post board. Again, both players have the Elder Spell available to them, post board. 2 copies in the case of Jakub, and the same for Krzysztof. While from Krzysztof's side, it's not even that exciting.
So both players are actually 4-1 at the moment, so they are fighting for their tournament lives.
That is true, I guess.
Meanwhile, Krzysztof has expanded his board with a Jade Light Ranger that also increased the toughness and power of Wildgrowth Walker.
Yeah, Jakub would need a sweeper. In fact, the Kaya Shraf would be pretty good this turn. Sweeping the board and making it stable.
He didn't find one, however he found a spot removal spell.
Mortify. Not the most exciting Mortify that there ever was. Still not able to hold up that Absorb. Potentially getting punished by a Planeswalker this turn.
I would imagine so.
Krzysztof could, for example, play Tamio, get back a Commandy Dreadhorde, or even just Placer, depending on what he values more. Getting land is fairly important right now, but adding more creatures, playing the Jadelight Ranger adds more creatures to the battlefield.
Yep.
While otherwise you can diversify your threats.
So Assassin's Trophy will bite the dust, Paradise Druid as well. I will add more counters to the Wildgrowth Walker. Also gain some life, which is significant in the face of Cry of the Carnarium. You have to have life to fully use that spell to its potential.
Cry of the Carnarium is this Infest Sweeper.
Sorry. Command the Dreadhorde.
Dreadhorde is the reanimation spell that you're talking about constantly.
Yep. Well, they are both sorceries, they are both black.
That is true. So now, Krzysztof can get actually fairly punished by a Chaos Wrath now. There's no Chaos Wrath available. You could see Jakub maybe playing a Liliana. That's not very good, so I guess that's actually not that likely to happen.
He just passes the turn.
Yeah.
Yes, the trigger from Kaya's enchantment, the Oath of Kaya enchantment was missed, so...
Seems like.
It's
a fairly easy one to miss. Amongst all of those static abilities of Planeswalkers, it's pretty possible to do that.
So in response to Teferi cast, 2 Mortifies will be fired because, well, Teferi turns off all the instant speed.
Notably, still
direction.
not spending his absorb,
Mhm.
meaning that the absorb is not going to be live now for the time being.
Yep.
What Jakub can do, though, if Krzysztof doesn't add anything to the board, which unfortunately for Jakub he does add a Paradise Druid to the board. Had he not done that, Jakub would have been able to play Liliana -4 and then untap with a Planeswalker. That would be fairly potent.
And right now he's gonna do just that.
Yeah,
But
he's still gonna do just that, but it seems like it's a fairly missable matchup for Esper Control, honestly.
yeah, Commander Dreadhorde just threatens to bring all of those threats that you have just taken care of back again and again. And then Tamiyo can pick them up. Monka
Yeah.
Absorb.
Krzysztof doesn't even have Commander Dreadhorde now. He's saying, but he can play Tamiya now.
Now there's the trigger. So
I
let's see
believe
what's
that a
next.
Tamiya return Commander Dreadhorde is a very likely line to happen. Tamiya Plus is also a viable line. Close between those two, but returning the command right now seems overall safer. It's not your opponent cannot even photo ratio you now.
Because of the additional text line static ability on Tamiyo, which prevents you from discarding cards due to your opponent's abilities and sacrificing stuff due to your opponent's abilities.
Jakub is able to deal with Fairy Time Ravel, but then he's not going to be able to keep an absorb up, because that costs 6 mana to play a Teferi Time Raveler, bounce off of Kaya, and replay off of Kaya to deal 3 damage too.
That's a good point, yep.
To Time Raveler, so maybe Tobin's Veto top deck is keeping him in the game. I believe he drew an extra absorb, or maybe it's an entirely different card.
He decides that it's enough.
Yep.
He will just scoop up his permanents. And we will move on to game 2.
Didn't look particularly close
No.
matchup-wise.
Looked pretty lopsided. But Jakub is 4-1. So he must be doing something right. This doesn't happen by accident.
Well, we don't know if he had been running into Commander Dreadhorde if it is a bad matchup for the deck of his choice.
So let's take a look at the sideboard. He's got 2 Duress. I imagine he would like those.
Duress is hit and miss against Commander Dreadhorde. They have the Commander Dreadhorde deck splits creatures and planeswalkers evenly, roughly, which makes those anti-spell, like solely anti-spell or solely anti-creature tools, double-edged swords, because they can really often be pretty dead if you don't hit the part of the deck that you are targeting with those, or if you draw like too many Duresses and not enough Chaos Rouse, and then you just get overrun by Jadelight Rangers.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's also weak to Tamiyo's passive. So
That is true.
there is a limit on how much discard you want to play against the Dreadhorde deck. It is probably not that low, but keep in mind that Jakub already has 4 copies of Federation in his deck, so
He does.
not entirely sure what is the amount of discard spells that he want to settle on for game 2 of this matchup.
How about Thief of Sanity? He has 3 in the board.
Thief of Sanity is a card that you can use to hit from a different angle, and I believe that such a swap is going to be potentially valuable in this matchup. If you want to board into Thief of Sanity, then Duress gains more value too, because it is becomes more important to pave the way for the Thief of Sanity. The downside of Thief of Sanity is that the Planeswalkers are still really tough for you, and constantly, by coincidence,
Coincidentally.
Teferi, Time Raveler, and Vraska, Queen of the Golari, they both answer thief of sanity pretty cleanly,
Hmm.
while leaving behind a powerful threat that you have to deal with as the opponent playing control.
One thing that will definitely come in are 2 Elder spells.
That is probably true.
And there is also a Kaya, Oars of Usurper, in Jakub's deck, and that's a graveyard hate. So,
Yeah, Kaya is a card that you can board in, hoping to limit the amount of cards that Krzysztof is going to amount in his graveyard. At the same time, it's not really that great on board. It's very vulnerable to explore creatures. So you have to be careful to clear all of them to let your Kaya stick, because her minus ability is literally not targeting any single permanent that's present in Krzysztof Marek's deck.
so what about sideboard for Krzysztof? Does he change anything at all? It seems pretty good.
Yeah, this the Dreadhorde deck is built in a way that does not include any dead cards really against control decks, because it is split mostly evenly between lands, creatures, and planeswalkers. Because you, on top of having 4 Commandy Dreadhorde, you need a really high density of creatures and planeswalkers for Commandy Dreadhorde to work well. So you don't really have many slots for instant and sorcery answers. So like the end result is that you just don't run many of those, and you just like try to interact with planeswalkers to survive as long as you can till you can play your big combo finish card. That is Marek has 2 copies of Duress, some Elder Spell on his own, a copy of Liliana, Dreadhorde General, and a second Assassin's Trophy. He could want to include some amounts of any of those cards.
Especially since he has a Massacre Girls in his main board.
Oh yeah, those are a pretty easy ones to replace. That is true.
Yes. And Krzysztof is not happy with the configuration of his opening hand, so he will mulligan and see if 6 is any better. He's on the draw, so
This is also interesting because Wildgrowth Walker is a generally pretty poor card against Esper control, and you would want to sideboard it out, but here it is a part of your combo engine. To an extent, of course, because you still have 20 life points that you are starting with. You are not really threatened, your life points are not really threatened by anything in this Esper control matchup. And you can still use interplanar beacons to gain some extra life to play your Commandy Dreadhorde. So you can also potentially trim on some Wildgrowth Walkers in those matchups.
that's a 1-lander, I think.
Yeah, we see that Krzysztof has a Wildgrowth Walker still in his hand, so he kept at least some of those. I also think that cutting all of them would be downright adventurous. So.
Oh, there are 2 lands actually in his hand, so he is not in
Hinterland,
dire
Harbor,
straits.
Godless Shrine, perfect mana. I guess it's not perfect given that you need to pay life for the Shockland, even though you have the Checkland, because the Checkland is not enabled.
Alright, Jade Light Ranger is gonna hit the board. There is no counterplay. Wildgrowth Walker goes to the bin, and the other one gets 2 counters, gains 6 points of life, and swings in for 3. So a pretty fast start.
Yeah. The problem that I see, like for Jakub's deck in this matchup, is that even if Krzysztof's deck would not include any command the Dreadhorde, just in general, if the card didn't exist, but Krzysztof would just play the same deck, I still wouldn't love the chances of Jakub's deck, because the threats just like so widely split, which makes it very hard to answer
Yeah,
efficiently.
that
If
is
you
true.
like, if you play a planeswalker and a creature every other turn, it's hard to line up your things correctly. Like, Jakub is already at 11 life. What is he supposed to do?
Probably Kaya's Wrath.
Yeah, he plays a Chaos Wrath, but now Krzysztof has an
4 mana.
opportunity to
Yeah.
resolve any planeswalker that he has in his hand.
Turns out he didn't have any for 5
Yeah.
mana.
Yeah, he was left with no place after playing Tamio into opposing Davin's Veto last turn.
Narset will start looking for something. Notably,
Still,
Jakub doesn't have blue up.
yeah, doesn't have blue up, and also Krzysztof is ready with Commanding Dreadhordes next turn too.
I believe he has 2 of them.
Yeah, I believe there are 2 of those. So
Sure, pick your poison. I would hate it.
yeah, it's a really tough spot. Krzysztof at 22 life can pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 life to get his 2 Wagraph Walkers and Jailer Ranger and Tamio. Gain 12 life back. Get Commanding Dreadhorde back. So like you just kinda end up in the same spot as before. So Jakub needs to sweep again, and then needs to deal with 2 Commanding Dreadhordes again. Looks pretty rough to me.
And then there is also a Liliana in his hand, and Marek's hand.
It is
So-
true. Well, in addition to that, Tamio makes it impossible to discard cards.
Wildgrowth Walkers grow, Jadelight Ranger grows. And even though last turn it seemed pretty okay, everything seemed pretty okay, there was no play on turn 5 from Krzysztof, you are suddenly staring down almost lethal damage. Again.
Jakub would have needed an absorb to contain that, or a counter spell. He very reasonably spent his veto on the 4 mana planeswalker because, well, that would also be another unbeatable permanent had it been allowed to just stick there, but
Vraska's Contempt, the pickup from the Narset activation, can deal with the Tamio or destroy one of those Wildgrowth Walkers.
there are some ways to win this game. Jakub is at 11 life, so that means that he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He
7,
has Oath
8,
of
9.
Kaya, that brings him to 14.
Yeah, Oath of Kaya can kill the.
Jade Light
No,
or
no.
Tamio.
He can kill a Tamio with Oath of Kaya, and then you could play Fort Erasure, the Command the Dreadhorde. And then if Krzysztof Marek blanks for a few turns and you top deck a Kaya's Wrath, you can get there. So the odds are pretty slim. He goes for a removal on the Jadelight Ranger.
Now let's see. I thought Erasure is going to be the next step.
Ooh. Well, keep in mind, Tamio protects
Oh no.
your hand from cards getting discarded. So you see a judge getting called over that.
I don't think there will be a warning. You don't discard. It's fine.
Co tam już? No to jest warning, bo nie możesz zostać zmuszony do odrzucenia. Tam mi pomaga. Survey, kartę normalnie. Widzisz moją rękę i kartę normalnie zachowuje. Robi tyle, ile może.
Yeah.
So
This is why you would need to deal with Tamio first
yes.
to be able to discard that Commanding Dreadhorde. That you would have an Elder Spell and a Chaos Wrath. So you would deal with all the Planeswalkers with the Elder Spell and with all the creatures with Chaos Wrath. But that's kind of a pipe dream. So low odds of working out, and then you need Krzysztof not to draw anything ever, while
So
you
now-
top deck the Teferi immediately.
So now Krzysztof can simply plus the Tamio, hope to resolve the Dread Horde, and get the kill this turn. If he gets another Explore creature in the graveyard, then it's pretty much done.
Well, trying to resolve an extra Dread Horde. Commanding Dread Horde is maybe reasonable. Not sure what he named. 3 lands and a Merfolk Branchwalker.
Oh, he did name a Branchwalker.
Nice.
Nice.
So fortunate to hit a card with Tamio. Not everyone can be as fortunate.
No. Another Commanded Dread Horde on the top of the deck.
There's an extra Commanding Dread Horde on top of the stack, is going to keep that.
Dostaniesz 2, Stronestry 12, a ja będę 27.
So players resolving all the triggers that happen with Oath of Gaia. And a Vraska Golgari Queen joining the party. I wonder if just want to draw or just leave her be at 6 loyalty. He will sacrifice the Branchwalker to draw the Dread Horde.
It looks so hard to ever acquire any traction as Super Control versus this deck.
It does.
I've
So
not
now
seen this matchup
Jakub
in
will
action
untap.
before. Which makes me baffled at how
Fairy will try to bounce one of the Wildgrowth Walkers. That will keep Jakub alive. Well, it ain't over until it's over, so he is fighting the good fight. Vraska can deal with the Fairy, so there is no need to attack the Planeswalker. You can just go after Jakub's life total. It's a 3-turn clock that way. Of course, we know there is a Vraska's Contempt in Jakub's hand. And Marek Krzysztof knows that as well, because that was one of the reveals from Narset. Playing this Teferi Hero of Dominaria will prompt the Esper control player to fire off that spell.
exiling the Wildgrowth Walker. He leaves all the Planeswalkers on the battlefield because he wants to set up for an Elder spell.
Yep.
Notably, he picked up Teferi Hero of Dominaria. So, still there's a route of victory in instant ultimating Hero of Dominaria. Again, like all the J lights.
Or the Liliana.
Or the Liliana. Oh yeah, that's actually even better. Yeah, that is true. If Jakub draws a land now, he can ultimate Liliana, and that puts Krzysztof Marek back to one land. That's a route that Jakub can take to try to achieve victory.
Does he have it in his hand?
He had a Liliana. He needs an extra land. Oh, at least I think so.
Now there are two Teferis and Elder Spell.
Okay.
But he can
I think
still...
I think I got confused. I confused it with the last game.
Perhaps, but it's still possible, you know? It's still possible, so... Oh no. He just used his Elder Spell on the Planeswalkers to destroy them all, basically.
And create the Teferi emblem.
Mhm.
The thing is that that leaves the door open for Krzysztof Marek to play Command Dreadhorde again. And,
Overwhelm the control player with.
you know, Teferi emblem is like an extremely powerful effect, but it is also,
Win more?
you know, no. It's not also like not as powerful. Like you can definitely overpower it, which is pretty funny. Like how often I have seen that, especially like in this matchup. That's a pretty common line of play, honestly. You emblem your Teferi, then you lose the game.
Yeah. It happened today on the stream as well.
Happened to me like when I was playing the games myself, as an Esper midrange player, facing off against Command the Dreadhorde, thinking that if I snap ultimate my Teferi is going to be pretty hard for them, but in the end it was not.
We need a lot of dice for this. There are 5 Planeswalkers entering the battlefield at the moment, so. This deck is very mechanically taxing because you need to point everything
True,
out, show everything.
Even the creatures have dices
Yeah.
on them.
So the first Planeswalker to activate will be Narset, digging for some action.
Yeah, like had that ultimate actually been a Liliana,
I think it would have been GG.
Krzysztof would have been left with no planeswalkers because they would have been cleared with the Elder Spell, just a single creature and a let me see, a Wild Walker. So like you would need to deal with that, and presumably you would be able to. Of course, like Krzysztof would be still able to play the game, but given that the natural inclination is just play a land per turn and not sandbag them for just in case of Liliana Dreadhorde General ultimating. So like you might actually stumble on lands afterwards, pretty commonly.
Little Teferi will draw an extra card. It's a redundant copy of Tameo. That's another Explore trigger from Jade Light Ranger that was still this time cast from the hand. So Wild Growth Walker will grow. Life will go up. Deciding what to do with Vraska. This turn is taking extremely long, but given the amount of permanents and actions taking place, it is reasonable to assume that it would. So now 6 and 9. That is no, not 6 and 9. 6 and 3. That is 9 damage.
Yeah, Jakob needs to draw a sweeper, creature sweeper to clear the creatures, but again they just get recast next turn. It's a Godless Shrine, so does not help
He forgot to exile
too
a
much.
permanent with the Fairy Emblem.
That is true. And then he tries to draw a card off of Narset.
He just concedes.
which you
That was
cannot
too much.
cannot do. His own Narset
Yeah,
get animated
betrayed
by
him.
the Dreadhot command generator.
Okay, so we've got our winner. Krzysztof Marek improves to 5-1 record. With a win and a draw, he should be good for top 8. So, fingers crossed. We will have a little chat with him and see you in a couple of minutes. So stick around. Thanks.
Zaman tutulay,